Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Today we are going to talk about the C8 Corvette Z06 and the fact that this might actually be what it looks like. Alright guys, so yes, we are talking about the C8 Corvette Z06 again today. We have talked about this car a lot on this particular channel, as well as the C8 Corvette in general. Now the reason for that is because the C8 Corvette is an absolute freaking beast, and when you add more power, more aero, stickier tires, etc., it's only going to get better. Now, with that said, some of the background for the C8 Corvette Z06 is as follows. We are likely to see the car in early 2022. So we could be getting something here very soon, and some of the leaks that I'm about to talk about are suggesting exactly that. On top of that, we are likely to still have an option for the Z07 package, which will give us stickier tires, more aero, and possibly carbon ceramic rotors, just like it did for the C7 Corvette. Other than that, we are looking at the C8 Corvette base model with stickier tires, more aero, slightly wider body, and of course, that flat plane crank engine that should be putting out over 650 horsepower. But anyway, let's jump into some of this leaked information that has come to us from the CorvetteForum.com. A user on the Corvette forum named Z06 posted up some information that was apparently leaked sketches from a parts vendor for the C8 Corvette Z06. Now what this means is basically an actual parts vendor for the car has accidentally, quote unquote, released some information regarding the car. So they need to know a lot of the dimensions and horsepower numbers and all this other stuff for the car in order to make parts for GM. If I had to guess, probably carbon fiber related. So because of that, this particular vendor knows a lot about the car and has leaked some of this information, which the user on the Corvette forum posted up for us to see. So the title of his forum post is 2022 Z06 leaked via Pictor dimensional data / sketches from parts vendor. He starts it off with saying that they are finalizing a standalone event to release the car due to COVID. That's all he put there, but I read that as most likely COVID complications, so they're trying to finalize some different things, which tells me we could potentially start hearing some solidified data about this car very soon, maybe within the next couple months. The next bullet point to his post is a twin turbo setup, as I have leaked information from a GM source. So this particular guy on the Corvette forum says it is going to be twin turboed. Now this is a giant issue right here because I have seen loads of information saying that this car was going to be naturally aspirated, and I've also seen a bunch of information saying no, it's going to be twin turbocharged. This is the first time in the leak history for the C8 Corvette that I see a very even divide between these two pieces of information, because usually we can agree or the leaks suggest one or the two. It's very rare that we get both. Now this particular person is saying he has it from a GM source. Now, guys, I've said this a million times, but I'll say it again just for good measure. Any of this information, any of these rumors you hear online about these cars, you got to take them with a grain of salt, because it could absolutely 100% be true, but it could also be absolutely false and totally made up. So whenever I'm reporting on this stuff, I'm simply reporting what I've read and what I think could possibly be legitimate. Anyway, I just want to make that clear. This is not necessarily straight from GM, but it does sound like it could be. And we're going to take a quick break from the action, guys, to talk about today's sponsor, and that is going to be the guys over at Ridge Wallet. For those of you who don't know what Ridge Wallet is all about, it is a new updated way of carrying your cards and cash. It doesn't have the typical bifold leather that wears out over time. This is not your grandfather's wallet. It is much more up to date, and it can hold up to 12 cards plus room for your cash. There's over 30 colors available, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. The wallet is very durable, which means each one comes with a lifetime warranty. You can buy one and literally carry it for life. The best part is, the Ridge Wallet team is so confident you're going to like it, they'll let you test drive it for 45 days. You can send it back for a full refund if you don't love it. If this sounds like something you guys would be interested in, definitely check out the description down below. Make sure you follow that particular link, and you can save some money on one just for being a horsepower obsessed fan. I am starting to suspect that we may actually get both. We may actually have a naturally aspirated Z06 as well as a twin turbo option. I know that sounds like a a lot of money for the same kind of car, but it's starting to make sense to me because in the very early stages of the C8 Corvette, I was actually contacted by one of my subscribers who told me his dad works for GM and was doing a lot of the work on the Z06 and told me that there was going to be multiple versions of the car, one of which could possibly end up coming out with a manual transmission. Again, we want to take all of this stuff with a grain of salt, but it does start to add up to something here. Next in his post, he talks about the 2021 Porsche 911 Turbo S 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds and quarter mile in 10.1 seconds being benchmarked with the 2022 Z06. So that is extremely impressive because that 911 Turbo S is no joke. And if we get the Z06 testing against that car, then that means the Z06 is at least as fast, maybe faster, and that would be totally insane. The last piece of information this particular person posts on the Corvette forum is talking about the render. So the thumbnail picture, the reason you guys all clicked on this particular video, that rendering is actually obtained from said parts vendor that has leaked some of this information. He goes on to say that the base C8 Corvette has a width of 76.1 inches and the Z06 will make it just under 78 inches. So we are going to increase the width of this car by almost 2 full inches. And then he says, as a comparison, the brand new Ferrari F8 is 77.9 inches. So we could literally have a C8 Corvette Z06 that is as wide, if not a hair wider than a Ferrari. That is really something else. Very awesome information here. I actually hope a lot of this is true. This rendering is actually really neat looking, but I will tell you right off the bat, some of it doesn't quite make sense to me. This particular forum poster says that is what was leaked from the parts vendor. And of course, this particular parts vendor might not have all of the information, but if the car in general looks like that rendering, I am totally down. But don't take that entire rendering as gospel here because right off the bat I'm noticing ZR1 wheels, which is very unlikely to have, and more C7 style rear spoiler, which could be possible, I guess, but we've heard a lot of rumors about the Z06 likely coming with a big wing, so I'm not sure if that would happen either, but of course this is just my opinion on what might not be legit about this particular picture. And of course the front fenders being cut really far in as well as the rear fenders being cut really far in, meaning that this car is just going to blast road debris all over the place, so that's unlikely to make it to production either. Now what I think is really cool and what is very likely to make it to production is the front splitter and canards, as well as the side skirts with the flared end on the back. That to me just screams Z06 Aero, because the C7 Z06 did something very similar with big canards in the front. The Z06 was the first one to add side skirts as standard, so yeah, very, very likely we're looking at something that looks much like what the Z06 will look like. Like I said, the wheels are definitely off of a ZR1 because we have talked about the carbon fiber wheels that this car is likely to get, at least in the Z07 package form, and they don't look anything like the previous generation ZR1 wheels. Even the wheels we saw leaked about a month or two ago, which were likely not carbon fiber, still had a very different design from them than the ZR1 wheels we're looking at on this particular rendering. All I know is I am absolutely in love with that front bumper. The way that that giant opening looks with the front splitter and those big side canards, this thing is gonna be a freaking beast. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below if you are believing this rendering could be the actual Z06 we get. If it was, are you in? Are you gonna buy one? Based on looks alone, I'm gonna say yes. Now, of course, there's still a lot of uncertainty out there about the engine. Is it gonna be naturally aspirated or twin turbocharged? I keep hearing both of those thrown around quite a bit, which, like I said, tells me we may actually get both. So I don't know. What do you guys think of that? Let me know down below if that is something that would interest you and if it's something you even think is possible. I know a lot of times with these cars, the manufacturers don't want to have a bunch of different parts because then they might have trouble selling one when not the other, etc. But I don't know. With how often I'm hearing both of these things, I really am starting to think that that could be something that ends up happening with this particular car. Like we talked about in previous videos, we have kind of a general outline for how these cars are going to be released. And the Z06 having more than at most 700 horsepower doesn't really end up making a lot of sense for the rest of the cars. So I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but the Z06 is likely to max out around 700 horsepower, and to do that with a 5.5 liter flat plane crank engine, that's not going to happen without turbos. I really can't see how 5.5 liters of flat plane crank goodness cranks out more than 5 to 600 max. And even if it does hit 600 or at most 650, which would be a stretch, you're looking at a much lower torque rating, which of course does make a great track car, which is what the Z06 is built for. But I just feel like that number will be so much lower than the C7 Z06 was able to hit. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, if you take that same flat plane crank and you strap some turbos to it, I know it definitely starts to question the reliability sense, but it does hit those numbers a lot easier, and it will definitely destroy the C7 Z06. So, like I said, guys, this is all up in the air. We're taking all this stuff with a grain of salt. I'm just putting the news out there for you because it is interesting. It's awesome to hear something about the Z06 finally, and I legitimately think this rendering is probably pretty close to what we're going to end up getting, and that's awesome because I personally love it. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. So if you liked what you saw, give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about the C8 Corvette Z06 or just the base C8 Corvette, shoot them in the comment section down below and let me know what your opinion is on this particular rendering and whether or not it's something you would buy. What do you guys think about the two different engine theory? Is it something that you think is possible? I'm a little iffy on it myself, but it does start to make sense as I keep reading these particular leaks and rumors coming out. Let me know what you think below. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. I'm going to have loads of C8 Corvette information coming like this you are not going to want to miss. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next upload.